have a cold, so I have the worst voice right now.
All right. Well, so we are supposed to talk about what is research and then answer, I guess, some of the other prompts that Dr. Games gave us.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anybody in particular wants to start by giving what their definition is of research or what you believe it is.
Anyone?
Are we recording?
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm recording.
Okay, perfect. I'll start, I guess. To me, research is answering unknown questions. Sometimes it's questions that you didn't know, and sometimes it's questions that you specifically want to answer. But I think research in general is a broad topic that just seeks to answer those unknowns of the things around us in any discipline. Specifically, as a clinician, I think we should care about research because it helps us answer questions that we can't always answer by experience in the clinic alone. And it allows us to gather information in a way that doesn't put people in jeopardy of being injured further or have some ill effect, but it also lets us kind of follow the path to find the right answer. And maybe it's not linear, or maybe it is linear, but it allows us to get that process down so we can get those answers faster.
That was a very good answer, Matt.
Preach.
Yep.
I would just say that I think research is a knowledge expander. It can answer questions that we don't know, but also kind of if we do know something, but we don't know a lot about it, it can just give us more information on something we want to learn more about. And it takes time and it's a process to do research, and it's a really important aspect of healthcare. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
You go, Elena.
I agree with all those. I basically think just a simple way to investigate further details of a subject that you would like to learn more about or need to learn more about. And I don't think that you have to like necessarily gear it towards your patients. Research is research for anything and everything. And then it doesn't just have to come from you studying books or you studying online journals. It can also be an investigation of your peers' clinical experiences as well, your past clinical experiences. So sometimes it's just about digging deeper into what has already been done and reflecting upon it as well.
I think the only thing I really have to add, because I feel like we've really covered what research is, but one of the mentors I used to work with last year, one of the big things I feel like I learned from him and doing helping him with his research was that it's not always trying to find the right answer, but sometimes trying to prove what way doesn't work. And like that a lot of people try to, when they do research, well, oh, it didn't work, so that means it wasn't a good research. No, you proved that it didn't work, so then you should publish that and be like, this way's no good, don't do it.
Right.
So I think that was something that when I first learned about research in undergrad, that I was like, that's how I felt. And then working with him after undergrad, I was like, yeah, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, and that's completely true, because without the people that were able to write about what doesn't work, we'd all be on rabbit trails trying to figure out what does work. So that's a good point. Yep. So with that, like why he wants us to answer why should we care about research, which I think is kind of an obvious question for us, but maybe not so much in that we do it because we were just taught that that's something that we have to do in order to find answers or to find what or what does not work. But also, like, I think from a personal standpoint, to me, it shows myself that I care enough to go out there and seek more knowledge than I already have. because not only do I want to better the outcomes of my patient, but I also want to just better myself. I want to further understand the topic of athletic training or whatever I'm honestly researching. So in order to grow in whatever career path I think you've chosen, research is something that you should always do anyways, if you truly care about your own personal growth.
Yes, I agree. I think that it's important, and we should care about it because we should want to better ourselves as healthcare providers. We should want to better ourselves just with the knowledge that we have. And then obviously we want the best for the patients that we work with. And if something's not working and we do the research and we find something else and it helps them, I mean, that's awesome. So I definitely think that that's why it's important to us. So.
Yeah, and I think like the other reason we do it for like to better ourselves and to better our patient care, but I think something that I'm kind of grasping from some of these classes is so that we can better understand things so that we can better teach it. Because like if I don't understand how certain things work, like if I was just taught you do this because of this, then it's hard for me to give that patient education, or if I have like a student working under me or someone else to then give that knowledge better. So if I research something and I understand it better, then I can better teach it to someone else.
Right. And I think on top of that, we would be doing a disfavor to others within our profession if we did do research, not only to better ourselves, but to teach others, but say we don't write anything about what we have found, which is why we do research projects now, so we learn how to do that, then I think we're also doing a disfavor to others by not sharing the wealth of knowledge that we have been able to come across.
I agree.
That was my thing is finding it for yourself is what you should be wanting to do, but then also being able to share it with other people. That's why I find it such a paradox that to freely publish, or I forget what they call it, but to publish your articles in a free journal, it actually costs you sometimes more money than to publish it in a private journal that people pay for, which to me is backwards. It should just be free information, but a lot of times people can't afford those types of prices. But I think for us, that should be just as equally as on a high priority of just being able to disseminate that knowledge, not only to us as a cohort and us as a DAT, but then everyone in the field of athletic training should at least have access to this type of information.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So what is everyone looking forward to most in this class?
Expanding my knowledge base. That's just like how I have to look at, not that I'm not looking forward to this class, but when I am feeling overwhelmed by an idea or a class, I just keep having to remind myself that I'm bettering myself and I'm going to learn more through this.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of mentioned in a video that for Dr. Game's other class this semester, that I thought last semester was very much a base builder with our classes, and we kind of learned how to then use that information to apply to these classes this semester. And this semester, we're actually going to like learn tangible knowledge that we can then apply to our clinical setting, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I think that, we'll actually be doing the research and being able to apply that now. Like we learned already how to do evidence-based practice and how to do research, but now we're actually going to be doing it to learn new stuff. And that's exciting to me.
Right. Yeah. I think I'm just excited just to get the ball rolling on a research project. So I did a pretty big research project in undergrad, and so I sort of have the base knowledge of how this could go. And I learned a lot through my strengths and weaknesses in research during undergrad. And I learned even more this past semester. So now that I've formulated a topic, I think I'm just excited to get the ball rolling and start unraveling what my research project will truly look like.
I think I'm the most excited for getting the ball rolling, but I think I'm excited for the fact that I'm hoping this class helps me break it up. In our earlier discussion that I was in this morning, my biggest problem with research is I always have these big ideas and they're not researchable ideas. I have to break them down. So part of what I'm excited for is just having that avenue that helps me learn how to set that up. And so I'm not just staring at this big problem and just staring at it, trying to figure out what I do next.
Right.
I'm hoping that this class is structured that way, and I think it is, but I think that's what I'm most excited about, is just being able to break down my ideas into bite-sized pieces that I can then systematically take on.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like I'm kind of in that same boat where I'm excited to start, but more excited to like get a project started because I don't really know exactly which direction I want to go in yet. So I think once we have to start doing certain things and completing certain assignments, I'll like find my exact research and then I'll be super excited to start doing that. I just don't know exactly what that is yet. So I feel like the unknown is kind of worrisome, but I know it'll come eventually.
So I think also just figuring out how to collaborate with others on research, because in past research projects, it's always been one-on-one for me. I just had a research advisor and that was usually it. But here you have the opportunity to work with multiple professors at the same time. So I think that's a little exciting that you also learn how to work with different personalities in research, which can be kind of tough in sometimes some circumstances. But now you also, like, between the three professors, and the PhD students as well, we have 5-6 different viewpoints that can really help our research projects grow, which is not something that occurs very often, I think.
Mhm.
So then what is everyone the most scared of for the class?
The research.
Yeah, deciding what research
The
project.
class.
Yeah.
I think I'm most worried about my time frame. We're working on our schedules with football because the season's just starting and we've got a Thursday game instead of our normal Saturday game. And so right now I'm stressing about my time that I'll be able to invest, which is terrifying to me that there's now this thing on top of all my classwork. But like I said, I think that the way this class will be structured will help break that up. So I'm not, again, just trying to dive headfirst for 6 hours into a research project.
Right.
But I think just getting started and starting that process is terrifying to me because once it's moving, it's moving.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm terrified that I might choose the wrong question or I might start the wrong research and then halfway through I can't finish it because it's not possible. So then we have to restart and go back. So that's what I'm probably most apprehensive about.
Right.
Yeah, I would say that's kind of my biggest fear because that's with our last class, the CBL project. I had a clinical question, went through, it didn't work, tried another one, couldn't get that one to work. I went through 3 different PICO questions before I finally got the one I was working on. So I'm worried the same thing's going to happen. You're going to start with one thing and then halfway through you're going to be like, either you have to do it this way because it won't work or you're going to have to start over. And I'm going to be like, oh my God, no. But
Yeah, and I think though that it always seems like that, but research classes are always pretty systematic.
mhm.
And I'm sure that personal Dr. Games isn't just going to lay it all on us. He's probably going to take it from a viewpoint and put everyone on the same baseline and then just start together because not everyone has the same research experience. So, yeah, I mean, I haven't looked further into the class yet, but I'm sure it'll be very systematic where you do this and then you talk about it and then you can go to your advisor and make it pretty and then you do the next thing and you do it. And so it's very systematic, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I'm nervous because Jared Hall, he works with us and he was in this program and this class is what made him drop the program because he had to change his research project 4 times. And so so me knowing that information master's.
Well, yeah, but then you also have to take into perspective who Jared is and like
No,
Jared
yeah,
is-
I'm agreeing, but like I do not want to do my research project 4 different times. And I know it's a possibility, and that's scary to me.
yeah. And that's, I think, like from a little bit of past experience, the best advice I could say is like if you have a topic, don't just wait and not talk about it and try to sort out the details. Like if you really have a topic, learn more about it, do some research on your own and see if there's anything that could help you guide it towards more of a narrower topic, or you find that you've already found the answer to your topic, so maybe you need to pick a different one. So sometimes just going out on your own and doing a little research before you really start picking it up helps a lot. So
Yeah, I mean,
do it 4 times.
I presented a research project that I did in undergrad at a master's thing, and like a master's group presentation, and I just I dislike the like going into a lab and setting or like sending out a survey and collecting information. So I'm probably going to be more of a systematic or meta-analysis person.
Right.
So that's a very daunting task as well to think.
Right.
Yeah,
And then
three.
especially for that, yeah, especially for if that's what you're going for, you would probably really benefit from going ahead and working a little ahead and trying to figure out what is already out there for your topic. So, but I don't know if I think the thing that I'm fearful of the most is just the time commitment, because I put a ton of my time, a lot of my free time too, into my research in undergrad. And it stressed me out because like it took away from the fun that I had or could have had. And that's all I ever did was worked on it. So, I mean, like I was proud of my work but I was like even more grateful that it was over. And I don't want to feel like that after this research project. I don't want to feel like, like I'm somewhat proud, but I'm more proud that the whole thing is over, because to be honest, this is probably going to be a lifetime situation where especially if I decide to go get a PhD or whatever, the research is going to be my life, and I don't want to have a bad taste in my mouth when I leave classes. So I'm going to be worrying about how to find a better balance between doing the rest of my homework and working and still having a decently fun life while also like putting 100% into my research project. So I think that's what I'm hesitant about, but I'm excited to learn.
Yeah. Going off of what you kind of said, like we were talking I had an earlier group video, and we were saying like to do like some of those other things, like, so we were talking about someone going on a run or a workout or hiking or walking through the woods. Like those is where you don't have to think about it, but those are where some of your best ideas come from, because you're not forced into doing it. You're not staring at the computer screen trying to type out what you need to. You're just thinking nonsense in your head while you're trying to get through a run. So I think that might be something for you to look to if you feel like you're stuck doing the homework, the work, and the research. Like take a 10-minute break, go walk somewhere, do a run, or Annette was talking about crocheting. I don't know what you do in your free time. So any weird hobby you want to do.
Crochet.
Right.
And the other thing is like Powden had us watch those videos, one of them on original thinking.
Back to that,
I
yeah.
am the type A person that I have to get everything done now because I stress out about it. And I, reflecting on some of my work, I can honestly say that like some of my biggest mistakes have been not waiting to turn in my assignment. Like I just turn it in as soon as I'm done because I think it's like the best thing ever. And then I get the reflection back and I'm like, oh my God, like this is terrible. Like, I don't know why I didn't just think about it more and just come back to it. So like, that's the other thing that I realized that would really help me in research is just to like, that I don't have to get it done right away. Like, especially want to put time and effort into thinking about your topic, and you want to put time and effort into planning your research, because in undergrad, I did not, mostly because I didn't know what I was doing, but like I did not put the time and effort into really thinking about the details, and I paid for it later when it came to gathering my data and analyzing my results. It sucked. because I made a lot of mistakes and then I had to fix them later on, which is even more time consuming. So yeah, taking out the time to be an original thinker and to really reflect upon your work, and to build upon something that's already just good and make it amazing, I think is going to be really important for this class.
I think one of the other things, and I was writing down some notes after what you guys are saying, but I think one of the things that I'm also worried about is like not being able to find a topic and then getting to the point in the semester where I'm like, well, you got to find a topic. And then like you said, Elena, then I have to choose one and then I don't like it.
Right.
And I'm drudging through it and I'm glad it's over and I never want to do research again.
Right.
I don't think that will happen, but it's one of those like irrational fears that you're like, crap,
Yeah.
I got to do something, and you just choose something, and then you're stuck with it. So I think putting the time and effort not only into like when you're actually doing it, but the pre-research of like just sitting down and thinking about what you really want to do, how you want to do it, and things like that, I think is
Right.
going to be important.
Yeah, like setting aside reflection time. I know, like, I think by Sunday I will probably have the majority of my homework done for the week. So Sunday will be a pretty relaxing day, and I think that's going to be a day where I like sit and really think about the topic that I already have in mind, but also like a couple other topics that I'm sort of like thinking about but haven't really developed as well as the first one. And giving yourself options is like the best thing, because if you just stick with one thing and halfway through the semester you realize it's not going to work, then you panic and then you pick another topic that either somebody else's idea that you're really not crazy about but it will work, or you just pick a topic that you're just completely unhappy with, and then that's literally you going to feel like you're stuck with it, and you don't ever want to be stuck with research because that sucks. So and it'll be the most boring time and the most painful time trying to get through your project. So, yeah, completely agree with you, Matt. Well, does anybody have any other thoughts or things they want to comment about for the class?
One of the prompt questions, or are we moving into that other question about the videos?
You guys go ahead. I just wrote down a couple questions, yeah.
One of the prompt questions he's got is like, how do the videos presented in the readings relate to athletic training?
Oh, yeah.
I think after watching them, I think the one that struck me the most was that TEDx talk about improbable research. Because I think a lot of times we all look at research as this like holy grail that has to be this way and has to be professional and whatever. But even the crazy research that sounds funny and you're like, how is that useful to anybody anywhere?
Right.
Starts to answer questions that you didn't, like I said earlier, like you don't even know that they exist until someone thinks about it and you go, okay. So I think part of it for me that opened my eyes, and like there are some goofy things that you could research in athletic training, and everyone, you look at it and go, there's no reason to research that, it's dumb and you can't make research out of it. But
Right.
I feel like getting that, thinking outside that box and getting out of that mindset and saying, well, let's do something on this. It might answer a question, it might not.
Yeah.
But that struck me probably more, just because I'm one of those people that say research is this way and this way only. I never heard about the Ig Nobel prizes, so the fact that that is even a thing is excellent.
Right.
But
I see a tail.
Yeah, Matt. So you're talking about the one video, and I thought like the one research, I think one of the things I got to know the Ig Nobel Prize was like how to drag, like what surfaces to drag a sheep on.
yeah,
Yeah. And okay, so he said a bunch of other ones, and I feel like that was the only one that really stuck with
Yeah,
me because
same.
they explain like, yes, it sounds super outrageous and funny, but someone hired them to do it because they had a bunch of sheep farmers or shepherds or whatever dragging sheep, and so they wanted to figure out what's the best way to do it.
Right.
exactly.
But it worked great. But I feel like, okay, so that part of the video stuck with me, but the other part I just kind of thought was funny. But the other video where the guy's like explaining, I think it was like the 6 reasons why he thought his job was the coolest in the world. And I think some of those stuck with me more just because I feel like I agree with him. That's why I like research, because one of his biggest points was like, because he's helping like people in another country come over a disease. Like the idea that I get to help someone at the end of this, even if it's something super small, like I research something, so then like other students who are learning athletic training better understand something. The idea that I'm helping someone down the road as opposed to just doing a project because I have to do a project.
Right.
I think that one stuck better.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the biggest thing about both of those videos combined, I think the reason why I'd enjoyed them so much is because across those two videos and every single person that was talking about research or did the research, you could see or you knew that there was passion behind it and that there was a lot of creativity. And those two things are what can either make or break your research. It can also make or break your attitude towards research. And so like, yeah, so if you have a topic for this class that you think that is stupid or is beneath a DAT level or whatever, don't be afraid to at least talk about it, because you never know what your end product is going to be when you put passion and creativity behind your research. And like that video that talked about the Ig Nobel prizes, like all those topics seem ridiculous to us, but all those topics actually served a purpose for other people. And that's how people may see athletic training. People may see some of the research in athletic training as like, all right, well, this doesn't really mean anything to me. But when there's passion, creativity behind it, then either way, they get it and they end up loving it. So, yeah, I think that's like really cool.
Like with the woodpecker thing, I mean,
Oh,
if you've
yeah.
seen the movie Concussion, that's one of the biggest parts of it, is that these people who said, hey, this animal has repetitive head trauma, but it doesn't get concussions. Why? And I feel like some people might go, why are you researching how a woodpecker doesn't get a headache?
Right.
But now we use that as a standard or as a basis for concussion research.
Right.
Of how the brain actually moves in the skull and why these animals don't, because their tongue's a shock absorber, versus why we do, because we don't have that kind of system in our brain. So it's just kind of that like weird off the wall stuff that ends up answering a question that no one knew was an option.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. Completely agree.
I think that, I think that kind of goes off of what Dr. Powden was talking about in his videos about being like an original thinker. Like, it's not always going to be that one path that you think makes sense. You're going to find some weird other route that someone's going to look at you and be like, well, what does that even mean? But it makes sense in the end. So
Yeah.
I think mixing some of the videos from the different classes, I think will be helpful.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to take a topic that you think has already been done but could be done so much better as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's also part of that video about original thinking. So like some ideas have already been done, but it's those ideas that become amazing ideas that end up being the better research. So there's a lot of research out there in athletic training that is basic and has already been done, but there's a lot of research out there that is not good research in athletic training and could really truly be improved, and could truly improve outcomes for patients. So yeah, always building upon things doesn't hurt either.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, I think it's great that we have like such a wide knowledge base to help us too, because we have Dr. E and Dr. Powden and Dr. Game, but we also have all the PhD students, and like Beth and Matt and Zach are phenomenal people, you know what I mean? And they're brilliant, and so they can really help us determine what's maybe a good research topic and what's not. And Dr. Games and Dr. E, I don't know how Dr. Powden is, but you know, like if you raised your hand even in those little group sessions that we had and made a suggestion, they would be like, yeah, no. Like they're not going to be like, oh yeah, we could look into that. If they think that your research topic idea was bad, then they were like, yeah, no, don't do that.
Well, and it's not even like necessarily that it's bad. or they think it's a crappy idea, their experience and they've already, like, making a research project takes a lot of time and thought and effort. And for us being distant students, some of us being distant students, you also have to think about the feasibility behind it. And so they're thinking about them plus you working together over distance with a research topic that they have probably already come across before. And maybe that's why they're saying no, because they already know the possible outcome and they don't want to put us through that stress of getting to that point and then having to turn back. So yeah, and I also think that taking ideas that even the second years have done, and building upon them as well, talking to them, they've already been through a year of this, so some of them would also know what works and what doesn't.
But like, so Shelby, my roommate, if you were in Dr. Games's talk, you would have heard her, but so we were talking about the fear of choosing the wrong topic and moving on. That happened to her. Like, she had a topic and got about, I don't know, halfway through it, and Dr. Games essentially pulled the plug on her because they both realized it's not going to work out without a tremendous amount of money and time, and we don't have either of those. So we need to move you to a topic that you can finish and make it quality instead of finishing this and it's not so quality.
Right.
But having her, I talked through her, like, what was your thoughts, what were your processes and things like that. But having that talk with her made me feel a little bit more comfortable that even if I choose the wrong topic, they're not going to let me drown. Like Dr. Game said, he'll let you take a couple gulps on your own and struggle, but he's not going to let you drown. And that's what happened with Shelby. She had setback, tried to push forward, and he was finally like, listen, like, it's not going to work. Right. So yeah, that probably sucks, and it's going to suck, but I think knowing that the process is set up to help us succeed instead of letting us fail makes me feel a little bit better about choosing my topic and going from there instead of having to find one that I absolutely know I can finish and I might not be happy with.
Right. Exactly. All right. Any other thoughts?
Nope.
Good.
All right. Well, if that's it, then I will go ahead and trim this up and then turn it in for you guys.
All right. Thanks,
Perfect.
Elena.
Thanks, Elena.
All right. Bye, guys.
See you guys.
Bye.